What is going on, everyone? I am the YuGiOh Scrub, but you all can call me Bailey if you're subscribed. Almost 800 of you are. My goal is 1,000 by the end of 2025. I know I can get there. If I haven't earned your subscription yet, leave a comment and let me know how I can earn your subscription. Maybe I'm just really annoying. You want me to shut up? That's a fine comment. You can leave that. If you have subscribed, thank you for clicking on this video again. Today we are playing with a Chaos Flip Turbo Warrior deck. I kind of put a bunch of elements that I felt like playing. It's not the most original deck in the world, but it might be some fun. So as you can see, it's got some Night Assailants and Thunder Dragons and card destruction for the kind of turbo element. It's got some Magician of Faiths and Spies, which I guess are also kind of turbo, but also just more flip and control. And then it's got some warriors with the double Rhoda and a small warrior package for kind of a toolboxy effect. Lights and darks, only chaos monster being the Blackluster Soldier, so I guess it's a little bit less chaos, but let's just go ahead and go into it. I like these kinds of decks. They're pretty fun on occasion. It's not my typical crazy decks that I like to run, but sometimes you just gotta play with the standard meta with my own little spin. Just see how this works when you start mixing a bunch of chaos. My hair is so freaking long. Oh my goodness. I can't stand it. I'm not going to talk about it. I gave you guys that rant in an earlier video. My opponent's playing 47 cards, but we opened up Thunder Dragon Graceful Charity, so we can't complain. And my opponent T-sets, and we got knock. Okay. So we're going to start with Thunder Dragon. Getting ourselves 2 more Thunder Dragons, obviously. And next we're going to Graceful Charity. Drawing Jar of Greed, Rhoda, double Rhoda. Okay. We'll discard the Thunder Dragons. I think we're going to go for an aggressive play. We're going to Rhoda. We're going to get Zalug. We're going to summon Zalug. Activate the Nobleman to cross out. It was a giant germ. Interesting. And we're going to try to attack directly. Eats 1,400, declare, and let's get rid of this card from my opponent's hand. Get rid of the Torrential Tribute. Alright. And we'll set double Jar of Greed and end our turn. They Dust Tornado, hitting 1 Jar of Greed, and setting a back row with the rarely used second effect of Dust Tornado. We will change our Greed to the second Dust Tornado. They summon Skilled White Magician. Interesting. Okay, and he Snatch steals my Don Zalug, so let's go ahead, shuffle our hand, just because I like to do that. Hits 1, they hit my Snatch steal. And 1,700. We draw Magician of Faith. We'll gain 1,000. We'll activate Rhoda. I think getting ourselves probably the Ninja Grandmaster Sasuke. And we will just get over the Skilled White Magician. And we'll end our turn. They need a pretty beefy monster. Premature Burial. Get the Skilled White Magician back. Maybe Tribute Summon? Book of Moon. Okay. We'll eat another 1,400 from a Don Zalug attack, and what are we going to lose this time? I hope Faith. No. DD Warrior Lady. Okay, that was the worst hit we could have taken. We'll gain 1,000. And we will set Magician of Faith and set Solemn Judgment, end our turn. We will get back. Do we get Graceful Charity or Snatch Steal? I think we'll add back Graceful Charity. We'll eat 1,400. And our own Zalug is putting in work. They hit the Sangan out of our hand. Solid. We draw Torrential Tribute. Gain 1,000 in standby phase. We'll obviously keep Torrential in hand, just in case we choose to discard it, but we'll see. Graceful will draw MST, Breaker, and Card Destruction. Get rid of Card Destruction for sure. And I think we get rid of Torrential Tribute. So let's think. The play here, if we get rid of Torrential, we can summon Breaker, pop that other back row. We have Solemn to protect ourselves. We can MST the Premature Burial or MST Snatch Steal. Or we summon Breaker, MST the back row, Breaker gets over Skilled White Magician, and then we lose the Snatch Steal. Okay, I do think Torrential Tribute's the discard, though. I think the play might be Summon Breaker. Don't use the effect. MST the Snatch Steal. We have the Judgment in case of this back row being something that we can get that. Yeah, we're going to do that. So we'll Summon Breaker. And it'll get its token, being 1,900 attack. We will Battle Phase, try to attack the Skilled White Magician. He takes 200. We'll MST the Snatch Steal. Attack with Don Zalug. Declare. Hit that card out of his hand. And main phase 2. Okay. I think that was... When I use my brain, guys, I feel like I'm a pretty decent player. When I don't use my brain, not so much. We'll just go to battle. No effect of Don Zalug. I used to be a miller. We're gonna Solemn Judgment that and make him eat 1,600 more. And we'll set the Knight Assailant at end, because if he just has a monster... Alright, so there's game. Very interesting with this Skilled Magician deck. I think Zombira, we haven't seen much, but the Zombira seems like it could be pretty good. You know what, let's just go in with the same deck and see how it goes. I feel like we have a pretty solid matchup, and I don't want him to see too much, because I don't know what I'm playing against. Warrior Chaos is the only thing I can think of, because Warrior Chaos kind of plays those big light monsters, unless he's literally playing Buster Blader, but like, really? I'm just kind of confused. Our opening hand looks pretty good. Knight Assailant, Tribe, Thunder Dragon, Sangan, Snatch Steal. Opponent sets 2 back row. We draw Solemn Judgment. We will start with a Thunder Dragon, getting double Thunder Dragons to hand. And then we're just going to run out Sangan and try to attack. And we'll set the Solomon end. Think we're gonna play it really risky and Solemn Judgment the summon of Breaker. Opponent Graceful Charities. So he's now used his normal summon. Discards Kaiku and a Torrential. Premature Burials, alright. So, gonna be able to get that Kaiku and banish our one light in the form of Thunder Dragon. We'll take 800 and we will search what do we want to get? Do we go Donzalug? I would love if he... No, we're going to go safe and get... If we get Spy, he knows it's Spy. If we get Serpent... Let's just get Serpent. We have the free Tribe Infecting Virus, get rid of the Kaiku. We draw Nobleman of Crossout. He has just a Breaker in his graveyard. Let us go ahead. We're going to Snatch Steal the Kaiku and try to go in for 1800. And we each take 1800 life points, putting me pretty low. But I will set a Knight Assailant and a Nobleman of Crossout. He knocks, getting rid of my Knight Assailants. Sets a monster and ends. Alright, and we draw Heavy Storm. So we will Nobleman of Crossout. Cursed Seal of the Forbidden Spell. So I can't activate Nobleman for the rest of the duel. We will Heavy Storm. I just need this to go through this Tribe Infecting Virus. Okay, good. And we will attack this face down. End our turn. We draw MST. We'll set Serpent, set MST, and end. Pot of Greed, unfortunate. We'll end phase MST. The Solemn Judgment, pretty good. We'll tribute Serpent for Thunder Dragon and attack. Giant Germ. And we're actually going to lose to the Giant Germs. I mean, we'll let him attack, but... And... Alright, yep. So, bring Sakuretsu Armors. I think these seem pretty good. Let's take out some of the more flip elements, like the discard. We haven't seen super big monsters. I don't think I need the Zombira. I think this seems alright. But I think that Sakuretsu Armors will be pretty good. That would have protected me last game. We draw, open a hand, Gravekeeper Spy, Donzalug, Snatch Steal, Thunder Dragon, Serpent, Sakuretsu Armor. We will start with double Thunder Dragon, adding to our hand by discarding one Thunder Dragon. And then I think we go ahead, set Spy, set Sock. I like having Snatch Steal Donzalug in our hand. I like having Sakuretsu Armor with a Donzalug in our hand. Opponent Pot of Greeds, that's fine. Sets 1 back row, 2 back row, 3 back row. Time Wizard. Calls Tails. We'll take the 500 from Time Wizard. We draw Torrential Tribute. We'll go ahead, summon the Donzalug, and just try to attack. It gets mirror forced. I'm fine. We make that trade. We'll set Torrential Tribute and end. They Dust Tornado the Torrential Tribute. Fine. It was likely going to get Dust Tornadoed at some point anyway. Changes the Time Wizard to defense and Delinquent Duos. I don't get why people roll dice. Hits a Thunder Dragon, and we'll discard Sinister Serpent. We have Snatch Steal Thunder Dragon, which is better. We draw Breaker. Standby. We'll get Serpent back to hand. We'll summon the Breaker. They Book of Moon the Breaker. Unfortunate, but it is what it is, and we just have to hope that he flips the Time Wizard and calls it wrong. He actually just doesn't use the effect. We will summon Exiled, get rid of the Night Assailant, flip the Breaker, and try to take our plus attacking over the Time Wizard, which does go through. Here comes a Chaos Monster. BLS. Could have Call of the Haunted set. Solemn Judgment. Alright, so we take 1,400, 3,000 from the BLS direct attacks. He sets a monster. We draw a Jar of Greed. We will take the BLS with Snatch Steal. Banish the monster. It was a Winged Karibo. And Tribute for Thunder Dragon. And attack. Setting the Jar of Greed and ending. Premature Burial. Are you serious? I didn't see if that was the card he drew for turn or not. Let's go ahead, just... And the Mirror Force was the next draw, so if we had gotten Mirror Force instead of the Jar of Greed. GG's. That's so unfortunate. Alright, I thought we played that pretty well, but sometimes you just get sacked by Chaos, and that's why Chaos is so good. And maybe, you guys will tell me, oh, if you had done Premature Burial and the Giant Trunade that I don't run in my deck, and I'm completely joking. I love when you guys tell me the misplays that I had. Wow, this hand is good. I just think it's so funny, though, because I know I constantly misplay. There's probably something I could have done in there that would have changed things. Alright, so we open up Delinquent Duo. We'll hit the middle card. Hit Mirror Force. I feel bad for my opponent. This is just one of those hands where you scoop right away. And they get rid of an Upstart Goblin. We'll then Thunder Dragon, getting ourselves 2 more Thunder Dragons. And then we'll Pot of Greed, because why not? We get Morphing Jar and Tribe Infecting Virus. We will set the Jar of Greed in Mirror Force. Not going to set Morphing Jar, because why would I give my opponent the chance to get back in this game with more cards? We draw a Rhoda. Probably going to take Tribe Infecting Virus, I assume. That is what they get rid of from our hand. We'll shuffle, and then we'll activate the Rhoda. Getting ourselves, of course, the pressure. I love myself some Zalug because it forces my opponent to immediately deal with this, otherwise they just go neg. Declare. Hitting that card from my opponent's hand. Hitting a Magician of Faith. And we'll just end our turn. They Jar of Greed. He Heavy Storms. We Jar of Greed ourselves. Draw a Solemn Judgment, but we lose our Mirror Force. They Snatch Steel. We'll take 1,400, and they're going to hit. This is why you just don't... It's a random. If I shuffle my hand, you don't know what I have. Why do you roll dice? To me, it makes no sense. Rolling a dice is literally as random. And you just click something. It makes no difference at all. Okay. We'll gain 1,000 in the standby. We have 2 lights. He has 1 light. Obviously, we're going to Rhoda. And we're just going to take our plus by attacking over our own Don Zalug. The question is, what do we get? I think we probably get the DD Warrior Lady. And we don't banish the Zalug, but we just put a monster that is a little bit more attack. And we'll set the Judgment for obvious reasons, just keep ourselves a little more protected. We draw Sinister Serpent. We'll go ahead, attack for 15. And we will set the Sinister Serpent. They Jar of Greed in the end phase. So 3 cards to my few more. They set 1 and then discard Thunder Dragon. So we have 2 Thunder Dragons in hand and an unknown. We draw Sandgan. We are going to go ahead, banish a light and a dark for BLS. Banish this face down. It was a Dekoichi. And we can put 3,100 on the board. Or we can just put Sandgan and still represent 2-turn lethal. We have Solemn Judgment. I'm feeling absolutely fine. Should have 900 more. He took 100 instead of 1,000. And we'll just end our turn. So he has 1 unknown, 2 Thunder Dragons. And yes, I would like you to shuffle. He showed us his hand. Don't really know exactly why. Okay. Trap Dust Shoot can be good, but do we want it? Mystic Swords in level 2 can be alright. I don't think Zumbara is going to be too good. We didn't see Spies. We saw Dekoichis. Given the fact that he's also on what looks to be Chaos, let's take out Morphing Jar, Card Destruction. If we're taking out Card Destruction, maybe take out a Night Assailant. Put in a, Dust Tornado. Maybe 1 Sakuretsu. Maybe even take out the other Night Assailant. For, I like having the potential removal. If I left it in, it would be for a Sakuretsu. Or if I took it out, it would be for Sakuretsu armor, I think. Apologies that I forget to mute my mic. I know that not all of you love when I take sips of anything. But, I don't know. For me, it's part of my YuGiOh scrub charm, if you can call it that. I know it's probably more annoying than it is, and I should just be better about it. I try not to slurp. Sometimes when I do the slurp, it's just for, in my mind, a comedic effect, because I know the reaction it's going to get. I'm in your mind. I know what you're thinking before I do it. I know you're going to think it's awful. And that's why I do it. Opponent opens up with Thunder Dragon and then sets 2 back row and 1 monster. We'll go ahead. And I think we had Torrential Tribute, Nobleman a Crossout, Mystic Swordsman level 2, Pot of Greed, Ninja Grandmaster Sasuke, and Pot of Greed, okay. Do we Nobleman a Crossout and do our classic Don Zalug play? Do we Mystic Swordsman level 2? Thinking. We can Rhoda, get Zalug, Nobleman a Crossout, but we already know 2 of those cards are just Thunder Dragon, so we have a 50-50 chance of hitting something at all. I think we summon Mystic Sword level 2 and attack. He Sakuretsu armors. Okay. And now we Nobleman a Crossout and get rid of Dekoichis. Okay. I don't have Dekoichis in my deck. And we'll Pot of Greed after this. We get a Don Zalug draw and a Blade Knight. We'll set Torrential and end our turn. He goes ahead and Regeki breaks and end phase. But we have some pretty good monsters, so we'd have to summon something pretty big here. He sets 1 back row, summons Breaker. He just hits us for 1900. We draw Breaker of our own. We will Rhoda. And I think just get exiled, and we'll just get this Breaker right off the board. End our turn. Jar of Greed, so I'm glad we didn't summon the Breaker and use it on the Jar of Greed. He sets a back row and a monster. We draw Premature Burial. Let us go ahead and summon Breaker. Try to pop this back row. It was a Scapegoat. We'll then Premature Burial, pay 800, get Mystic Swordsman level 2. Attack and get rid of this face down. And get rid of a token. Exile Force was another option to get rid of the face down and an extra token, but I think I'd rather keep the board presence. He has Upstart Goblin. We'll take 1,000. We also now know he's playing the Spy. We'll take 300 from the attack from Spy over Mystic Swordsman level 2. He just ends his turn. We draw Judgment. Well, we're going to take our opportunity here to rip a card from his hand with Don Zalug. Hitting a Magician of Faith. Fantastic. So he has Thunder Dragon and Unknown in hand. Sets a monster and ends. We draw Dust Tornado. Let's summon Blade Knight. And we'll attack with the Blade Knight. It was a Faith. He can get back Scapegoat or Upstart. Gets back Scapegoat. And we'll set Dust Tornado end our turn. So I'm feeling really strong here. We have plenty of monster and card advantage. He sets 2 back row. We'll Dust Tornado. The Ring of Destruction. We draw Graceful Charity. I think I don't even know if we use Graceful right now. I think we summon the Ninja Grandmaster Sasuke. Blade Knight will go to 2,000. And we Judgment the Scapegoats. And just smack him for a ton of damage. And we'll rip that card from his hand. We will Graceful Charity. Get Nobleman a cross out, Thunder Dragon, and we'll discard both Thunder Dragons. We'll set the cross out. He's got it. Big boy 3. Alright, and we obviously just Heavy Storm. There's no reason not to. It has to be another Scapegoat. Torrential Tribute. GG's. Oh, that was a solid match. And we're only 30 minutes in. And, alright, we're just going to go on to the next one. Give my opponent a little bit of time. I see if they type anything. And we'll pick paper. Alright, he picked paper. He's going to pick paper again. Nope, he picks rock, we lose. Okay. Lose the rock, paper, scissors. I say it every time I see it, love this little ducky man. I use 1,000 dice restrict. Behind my face is 1,000 dice restrict. Opening hand, Morphing Jar, Nobleman a cross out, Jar of Greed, Thunder Dragon, MST. I like our hand. Not too bad. I wish we had a reinforcement in the army, because I would absolutely love to do my Don Zalug play with Snowblown across out. Like, that's my favorite play to make, is turn 1, summon Zalug, somehow pop my opponent's monster, usually with like a Nobleman across out, and then just push. But obviously we can't do that. I don't even know if I want to knock. We will. And that's why I'm kind of sad that I knocked. It was a mystical shine ball. So my opponent is playing fairies of some sort. The only question is, what sort of fairies? Heavy Storm will change Jar of Greed. Draw Exiled Force. Opponent sets a back row and ends. We draw the Graceful Charity. We'll start with Graceful Charity. Getting Blackluster Soldier, Rhoda, Sinister Serpent. Discard Serpent and Thunder Dragon, obviously. Then activate MST. It was a Desert Sunlight. Activate the Rhoda. And now we're doing the play that I was talking about. Get Don Zalug. Normal Zalug. And smack for 14. Hit that card from his hand. Demok. Alright. And we'll just end our turn. Hopefully my opponent just sets a monster and passes, and then we can Exiled Force and attack again with the Don Zalug. Summons a giant germ. So we'll take 2,400. Opponent hits the Exiled Force. We do have Premature Burial, though. We draw Solemn Judgment. We should have gotten back Sinister Serpent. Oh, true. Stand by, and if he calls me out for it, I'll put it back. But technically, that had to be in standby phase with Snatch Steal. Alright. We have no darks. I think we go ahead. Premature Burial. Pay 800. Target Exiled Force. Declare. Pop the Don Zalug. Then banish a light and a dark. Get rid of the Giant Germ. Set Judgment. Set Sinister Serpent. Not gonna set the Morphing Jar. We already know Snatch Steal's gone, so don't have to worry about the BLS being taken. He just ends. We draw DD Warrior Lady. Do we have game? If we no, absolutely not. I was gonna think. I think we tribute for Thunder Dragon, and we just try to swing. We will obviously Solemn Judgment, the Mirror Force. He takes 4,600, putting him at 2,000, and we'll end our turn with Morphing Jar and DD Warrior Lady in hand. Morphing Jar is such a cool, like, funny art. Alright, perfect. We get that game win. Seen more Giant Germs today than I feel like I have in a very long time. What is good and what's not good? Dust Tornadoes might be interesting. I think what I'm learning is, without Raigeki breaks, I feel like the Night Assailant, like this discard package, just isn't nearly as good. We'll bring in Dust Tornadoes, and I think we'll even bring in the Mystic Swordsman level 2. Maybe a Sakuretsu Armor. Over... I don't know. What do we want it over? Let's go in with this. But something I notice, and this is just me when I play, but if I'm constantly siding out certain cards and bringing in the same cards, well, maybe I'd just be better off in the main deck running those cards. Opponent opens up with Pot of Greed. We have BLS, Dust Tornado, Rhoda, Delinquent Duo, Thunder Dragon. Summons Agent of Creation Venus. Pays 1,500, and he will special summon 3 Mystic Shine Balls. It could be the Fairy Burn. I would love a series, and I don't know if it would work, but a series where you introduce, like, one new card to GOAT format and just see how it goes. So, like, an example would be bringing in, like, Cyber Dragon. That's a clear one. You know, Cyber Dragon came out, like, right after GOAT format, but just Cyber, nothing else, and see how that goes. But, like, Gachi Gan Tetsu, it would be insane, but there's enough chaos that you can get rid of Gachi. But imagine overlaying in GOAT format 2 Shine Balls for a Gachi. I think it'd be really interesting to see, like, if you put a little bit of difference in formats, what could change. Or not even GOAT, but just, like, in general. You know, you bring in early early XYZs into Edison format. You know, like a Leviathan Dragon. Alright, all it is 2 level 3s. Like, what would change? I just think it'd be so interesting. Let me know if that's something that, you know, maybe someday I can make a little series. We'll activate Delinquent Duo. And hit this card from my opponent's hand. Hitting a Breaker. And a Giant Germ. We'll then discard Thunder Dragon. Getting 2 more Thunder Dragons to our hand. And I think then we're gonna exiled, getting rid of that Venus. Alright. 600, so we take 2,400. And we will go ahead and set the Dust Tornado and end. He can do 1,500 if he just switches Shine Balls to attack, which he might do. Puts 2 to attack. I'd maybe keep 1 in defense. Yep, that's what he does. Taking 500 at a time. No need to immediately take the 1,000. Make my opponent think that the back row might be something, but we take both. And just end your turn. Don't put anything else. Okay, so that's one back row. We draw MST. Let us go ahead and Dust Tornado. One back row. It was Call of the Haunted. We'll draw use Rhoda. Getting ourselves, where is it? Donzalug. MST, the Area B. Summon Zalug and attack over a Shine Ball for 900. And get rid of this card from my opponent's hand. Getting... Ooh! Ripping the BLS. I love to see it. That feels good, especially because I was live. He had the Shine Ball, or of course. Alright. Now my opponent Snatch steals my Donzalug, and we take 1,400, ripping a Thunder Dragon from my hand, and 1,000 more from the Shine Ball attacks. We draw Jar of Greed. We'll gain 1,000. But we don't have any darks. Yeah, that's game. I think Decrees could be pretty good. The Swordsman level 2 decent. I think Swordsman level 2 can come out. And if Decrees are coming in, then we should probably take out some traps. I think Nobleman of Crossout's okay-ish. Gravekeeper Spy could be interesting. This is actually kind of tough, because I feel like I want to keep a lot of my cards, but I need to be able to get rid of Area Bs and protect myself from traps. Maybe the Knight Assailant. I don't want to lose to this Fairy deck, even though it is a pretty sick deck. Opening hand isn't great. We have Solemn, Thunder Dragon, Decree, Jar of Greed, Mirror Force, and Nobleman of Crossout. We'll start with Thunder Dragon. And get ourselves 2 more Thunder Dragons. We'll set 4, I suppose. We need more monsters that are not level 5. Opponent Pot of Greeds. I'm going to let that through. I need to make sure I don't get heavy stormed, because if I was to Solemn Judgment that and then get heavied right after, it would feel bad. I would love if he tries to attack with something. We can Mirror Force, Jar of Greed, and then flip Royal Decree in the end phase and block out a ton of back row or something. That would feel pretty good. He summons a Shine Ball and just attacks for 500. I'm going to let that go through. Obviously, I'm not going to Mirror Force a Shine Ball or Solemn Judgment it. He sets 2 back row of his own. We draw Pot of Greed. Let's activate Pot of Greed. If the lag decides to let me. We draw Rhoda and Magician of Faith. We'll activate Rhoda. Getting ourselves Donzalug. Summon Zalug. Torrential Tribute. We will Royal Decree. And assuming that goes through, if he Judgments, or maybe MSTs. Targeting Decree. if it resolves, yes. So you target decree. Alright, we will solemn judgment. Because that tells me he wants to make sure that the decree gets off of the field. So we'll summon the Donzalug and attack over the Mystic Shine Ball. I would have loved to Jar of Greed, but unfortunately that's not how it goes. Rip that card from my opponent's hand. Hit a Giant Germ. And if he has a Chaos Monster, we've now made it live, which would not be bueno. The best thing for me would be if he just sets a monster. In my mind, I'd imagine he doesn't have a Chaos Monster, because I don't know if he would have Torrential Tributed if he had one. Unless he was really just trying to protect it in his hand, but it wasn't even live. Summons a Kaiku. Alright, so we'll eat 400, and unfortunately lose a Thunder Dragon from our graveyard. We draw Premature Burial. We'll go ahead and set the Magician of Faith and end our turn. Graceful Charity. That obviously goes through. We have Decree. Can't Judgment. I mean, I suppose we could and pay half our life points and then have the Judgment negated. But that's the problem with Decree. It's so powerful, but like right now, my own cards are being negated. So maybe it wasn't worth it. I don't know if it was the right play to Torrential Tribute the Zalug if he had a Kaiku in hand. Maybe he drew it for turn. I suppose that's always possible. Opponent discards 2 Shine Balls with the Graceful Charity. That sucks that he drew so many Shine Balls. But let's see what he has. He has, I believe, 4 unknowns. He sets a back row, sets a monster, and creature swaps. That has to go through, obviously. We get Morphing Jar. Okay, so not ideal. Opponent draws 5. We also draw 5. Our traps are negated, so are theirs. And they end the turn. We will go ahead and get rid of the Kaiku. He has Pot of Greed, Graceful, but we have to just attack. I mean, he's gonna get it back. We're not getting the effect of Magician of Faith. He gets Pot of Greed back, and we have to end. We're kind of getting screwed over by our own Royal Decree, which you guys probably were looking at me as I was siding it in. Maybe 7 Tools of the Bandit is better. Pot of Greed. I'm a big fan of 7 Tools. I don't think it's a terrible card, but Decree being able to stay on the board just feels so good. And the cat's doing cat things. Hanging at my feet. Gotta love cats. Summons BLS, and I mean, what were you thinking about? That's so quickly game. We're gonna lose to the Fairy deck, which is fine, you know, honestly, kind of cool deck. Fairy Burn with the Giant Germs. I had Decree up, buddy. Book of Moon is the only thing that could save me right now, which I'm not running. Summons Kaiku. Maybe he decides to MST the Decree. Go ahead. MST my Decree before you attack. Please. I'd love it. He giant Trunades. Well, that's not as good. But, I mean, dude, you had game so long ago. I just kind of want you... There you go. GG's. Unfortunate that we are just losing with one of the more powerful decks that I've played with in a while. Let's see what my opponent has to say. They're typing. Hey! Shape any views. You know, love viewers. I'll say the more fans I get, the bigger I get. Just appreciate that someone's actually watching. Dang. That's so sweet. He and his son make silly decks in Dharma Gardener. There you go. A little shout out. You're going to be in the video. You talking about your son. I mean, that's cool. I like that it can span generations. Every now and again, I gotta mix it up so I don't go insane. Be on the lookout. LOL. It is true. If I keep playing awful decks, much love. Have a good one. Let's just see. Gotta talk to the fans, and if you guys want to tune out. Alright. That was sweet. I like that little moment. That was cool. The fact that he waited till the end, obviously if you guys ever recognize me, you want to talk in the beginning, sure, but, it's nice when someone at the end is like, hey, by the way, that was sweet. Yeah, definitely more mainstream than I normally play. Things I would change, without the Regeki breaks, probably just cutting the, at least one of the Night Assailants. The Morphing Jar, I also really like in his deck. I like the creature swap. The ability to control when you use the Morphing Jar seems really interesting. Because you can give it to your opponent and then, do exactly what he did. Because every time I had it, I was so far ahead that I didn't know why I would want to use the Morphing Jar, because, I get some pluses on my opponent. I feel like Thunder Dragon Morphing Jar just doesn't really work, because Thunder Dragon gives you pluses, and then Morphing Jar can get rid of those pluses, and, if you're sitting with 4 cards in your hand and 2 Thunder Dragons, now you're going to just get rid of it. But if you can, set 3 Jar Greeds, 2 Dust Tornadoes, then Morphing Jar becomes more powerful. So maybe in a more traditional warrior deck list, a Chaos Warrior, cutting the Thunder Dragons, putting in the Sakuretsus, the Dust Tornadoes, some Dust Shoots, things like that, maybe a slightly higher warrior package, then the Morphing Jar might be really, really powerful. Cutting the Night Assailants, and maybe I'll play something like that in the future. But thank you all for watching. I am the Yu-Gi-Oh! Scrubber, almost to 55 minutes. Goodbye.